Hey everybody, it's Simone and Bella here again for another soul communication sponsored by the 64 Doors and Unlock Your Design. Today we're talking to the 39. Let's see what the 39 has to say. So the first pictures that the 39 shows me, so we're talking to the archetype of the soul of 39. And the first pictures that the archetype of the soul shows me is like of a building, of a house being built and kind of opening up. So almost like a transformer house, that it's kind of building itself as it appears in my screen. And the roof is opening up. And as the roof opens up, all of this life is growing out. So imagine like almost like it feels almost like Jack and the Beanstalk growing, the stalk growing out of the center of the house. But it's much more dynamic than one plant. It's a big sunflower, and it almost feels like riotous life, like exuberant life, like so riotous is the, it's like having a riot of a good time in a sense. That energy feels activated, dynamic, almost even responsive to what it's experiencing as it grows out of the roof of the house. And now the whole house is opening up. So imagine the roof lifted and the riotous life and flowers are growing. And now the walls are opening up and revealing the internal structures, almost turning inside out, so that the internal life is lived externally. And it says that it wants us all to turn inside out, to live our internal worlds in our external worlds, to be so transparent and so willing to be the truth of who you are inside and all that you do. And what's interesting is that, a building is connected to one place, right? One, it grows, it's built from a foundation, but it's almost like as you live your internal world externally, you have movement. So it's like the house starts walking, and it's changing foundations. So the foundation of who you are when you live your internal world externally shifts and transforms. And it's almost like, so if I were looking at the house and it was literally grounded on Gaia, right? And then as the internal world opens up and you're living your internal world externally in this riotous engagement with life. And then the next time it moves, and it's almost like I can't see the ground. It's like hovering above the ground. So it's almost like it's showing me that you lift up in vibration, and then the whole process, it's like a fractal. The whole process begins again. That the house moves, your foundation moves, you're up a layer of consciousness. It reminds me of Bella and I's conversation with John Rhodes in the Architecture of the Soul. So then you're you're connected, but you're at this other layer of level of consciousness, and the whole process begins again. And What's interesting is as the roof raises and the internal world starts to grow out, it's a much more peaceful blooming, if you will. It's not like riotous in the sense of all this. I don't want to use frenetic. It's not exactly frenetic, but this from this riotous engagement with life to a much more peaceful, focused, strong, grounded growing. Like Bells of Ireland, or it's another flower that's being shown to me, this big blue stalk. So the energy is much more vertical and grounded and streamlined and focused and clear. There's a clarity to it. And it's almost like from this other place, the internal world is already external. So there doesn't need to be this complete turning in, the house inside out, but there is an opening of the heart, if you will, an opening of the heart. And there's an exploration through clarity of consciousness. Then it shows me that it's just a process that keeps repeating. And each time the blooming occurs, you're blooming in a new way, a different way. And it feels so much more free, if you will, because there's not all the stuff inside that has to come out or needs to come out or become transparent. It feels almost in a sense liberated, but it's freer than even the word liberated. It's free. It's clear, synthesized almost to its purest, more pure. It just keeps getting purer and purer and purer. And the 39 says that this is what the journey it wishes that we would undertake. This complete turning the inside out and living our internal world externally. And it says that it understands that this is a hard, a challenging journey. And it takes me inside the first house, and it shows me how that there are things that are almost caught for some of us. It's almost like our internal world, our insides are tied down inside of us. They're captured somehow. And it's saying that it understands that it's hard to unhook from some of the structures and unhook from some of the things that keep us wound in and not allowing that internal world externally. And it's saying it would really like to chat with you, Bella, about this whole thing. Like the 39 wants to bring you into the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, this is my North Node in line 6, so I feel like it's been there my whole life. And I mean, the first thing I'm thinking of is human design, and it's that my mom has that whole channel from the 39 to the 55, so between the root and the emotional center. And in human design, we say like being overpowered by the other. So I feel like I always had that energy of provocation, kind of, the stirring up. But it's not until now that I feel like I'm starting to understand what liberation might be, which is the highest frequency. And I think maybe I want to hear the connection with the 55th gene key of freedom, victimization of freedom. If she could speak about that, that connection that is connecting the root and the emotions. And the keywords are liberation and freedom, and maybe what the difference is between liberation and freedom.
Well, she showed me the 55 like coming through the 59, like that freedom energy pushing through right through the middle of the 59. And she says, in that way, we do work together. And then I saw an image of like different, a whale and also another very large sea animal, like bursting through the whale bursting through the surface of the water. And when it comes, on some whales, there are barnacles and all these other sea lives that have this kind of, they live on the little literal body of the whale. And it's like the freedom to burst through the surface. And the 55 is almost that thrush of the freedom to break through the surface. It's the energy that pushes, and it's like the rocket fuel to the 59. And she says that she showed me a different image. She said that but what's so interesting is that there was no gender. She was not coming. The 39 wasn't coming through with any masculine or feminine energy, but just now it shifted into feminine, and she showed me holding hands with the 55. So in some way the 59 is the feminine and the 55 is the masculine energy, and when they join together, they can do anything. Imagine the energy that it takes to lift a whale, to breach through the surface. That's the 55. And the 59 is the whale, it's the container of the space in a sense. So she says that, it's the 50, she says that the 55 works with many gene keys. As through freedom, you experience the gift and acidic vibrations of many keys, if you will. But she says that she has a very special, unique relationship with the 55 in that the 39 has a special relationship with the 55. In that they hold hands. Did I switch mid?
Yeah, you said 59, but they
I'm
all.
like, I think I was in the 59 energy. I just went to the 59 from the 39. I'm like, who am I talking to?
I think that's why it became a feminine energy too.
Yes. Okay. So
the 59 is the programming partner or the coding ring? No, the programming partner to the 55 is the 59. So now we are actually, like, this is what I always say, the three are going together, programming partners and harmonic gate. So we are speaking about, like, the 39 is the friend through the harmonic gate, and then the 59 is the programming partner. So they are probably all here.
Yeah. So if you were listening, so I switched, not even knowing, the 59 came in, and I clearly said it, and I knew who I was talking to, and I was like, oh, wait a second, now we have a feminine energy. So let's bring the 39 back into the conversation and see what the 39 says about that. Well, it's almost like the union of the 59 and the 55. It's like the container of space that she keeps the I don't know if it's the 50. If I say she, I'm probably talking to the 59. But I just saw this dove, like the spirit dove, appear. So it's like the birthing of the 55 and the 59 is the 39 is the dove, the white dove, the spirit, the divine sacred spirit of that energy. It's like the birthing of the marriage of the 59 and the 55. Wow. And the 39 is so happy to be recognized as this beautiful dove, and it in this in spirit, in the spirit of the 39, she feels recognized as this purity of consciousness. And she's so, the 39 is so grateful for the 55 and the 59. And they show up as a pyramid, like the 39 and then the 55 and the 59, 55 and the 59. So it's interesting. So imagine that pyramid shape, that triangle shape, and with the 39 being the spirit dove bursting through, and then the 39 flew around the sacred union of the 55 and the 59, just went up the top and then circled around the whole trigram, that triangle shape, which reminds me of you, Bella, talking oftentimes about the trigram and how the heart chakra is the glue that holds it all together. But it's the 39 surrounds it all, but infuses it, and is very much a non-duality in terms of masculine or feminine. It's just like an essence. It's a mist-like energy holding it all together. So really beautiful connection between the three.
It's so interesting because usually when we speak about the eternal child, we speak about the third gene key. What I feel here is that the 39 is sometimes a misunderstood child, because it's like, why is it so provocative? Why is it like, and people are feeling like, people are reacting emotionally to 39 because it comes out from the root center, it points towards the emotional center, and it's here to awaken emotions. And of course, if people are in a low frequency, it's going to awaken emotions that aren't that like high frequency. But it's really, it's like, I feel like it is that genderless child in a way that just wants to kind of poke a little bit, because it knows that the abundance of spirit is there as we allow it. The feeling is what it is to be human, and it's not afraid because it's not yet a woman or a man. It's almost that eternal child energy that just wants to poke for the fun of it, to see what's gonna come alive here.
Yeah, it feels like so much energy that it can almost be all encompassing, as I really key into that, the images that I'm being shown, especially that pyramid with the spiraling of the 39 around the 55 and the 59, it's we can talk about, like, in terms of quantum nature, 1 and 1 is more than 2, and then 3 is more than, 3 energies is more than just 3. There's an exponential nature to it, and that's what it feels like. So when those 3 are in perfect union or perfect concert, or when they're in, it's different than a harmonic, but it's like when that concert of connection is in place, the energy is so expansive and so powerful. It almost feels like an atom that you can't break. It's so the connection is so strong, so powerful.
I mean, I'm starting to wonder, like, looking at the whole, everything, like all the gene keys and all the gates, and being like, because this is what I was saying. I think I was even saying it probably in the recording of the 39, that there's always this kind of trinity. There's always the harmonic gate in the human design that forms the channel, and there's always a programming partner that we usually don't speak about in human design. We speak about in the gene keys, and that always, for each key, makes up something important. So maybe there is a trinity everywhere with the harmonic gate and the programming partner, and then we have some of the channels where that will be the same, but that's just a few. There's something with that geometry being part of, like, almost every gate having some kind of structure like that.
Well, that's true. Like when you said that, I was seeing flying triangles everywhere, just the energy went, it almost fractalized, but not in when we see fractals, we almost look into or pull out of, but it was they were everywhere, just inhabiting the space. But I think we've been doing a soul conversation before when that triangle energy has come out, and I've seen
yeah, I remember something with the 25 and the 52 and things like that. Like we have seen triangle forms before. That's for sure.
True. So maybe they've been trying to give us the message, and we're just able to hold it. So yeah.
So what could be? Is there any advice for people that have that? For me, it's my North Node, for example, and it was compromised when I was a child. Like, is there any advice to people that have this gene key in a prominent place, like a life advice or everyday advice?
The first thing that comes through is the words "hold yourself," and then it showed me like somebody holding their gut, almost like it as a precaution or an awareness of where do you leak energy. So hold yourself and really pay attention to if you're leaking energy. And like don't leak energy where you have this gene key, the trigram, really, the 39, the 59, or the 55. Don't leak energy where you have those keys in your field. Really pay attention to, if you are, how are you leaking energy there? And to be whole, to contain the force, the magnificence, the concert of these gene keys, whether they're all three in your chart or not, but to, in a sense, work with the energy of that sacred trigram that they create. They're saying you have to really pay attention to, am I leaking energy? Am I not? If I am, okay, that's fine. But how am I leaking energy? And pay attention to that, because otherwise it's like you can't contain the field of those three working together. And they do show me that, and I'm sure there might be more of this coming out because we're learning, right? But they show me that even every trigram has like a sister trigram. So just like there's programming partners, there's programming partners in those sacred trigrams. So it'll be interesting to see what is the sacred sister to this trigram, because in showing me the information about leaking energy, they are showing me that it kind of relates to the sister trigram, and it's important to do that repair work, that DNA repair work, so that you can hold acidic frequencies of all of these keys. And so that's the biggest, that's the thing they're bringing forth.
Yeah, Sue is writing. I feel like I'm into something. There's something here where I'm seeing, because the 59 is all about intimacy and sexuality, and I see in my work, and I mean not only in my work but doing my work, I see in the world that there's a lot of leakage of sexual energy, many times when we don't even know it, because there is an objectification of the female body. Like there's so many things, and there is the victimization in the 55, there is the provocation in the 39, there is the dishonesty somehow or not being completely transparent in the 59. So with that, it's often about life force. We are here in the root center. So we have this fuel, this energy, this root energy that has to do with the seed energy. And then the sacral is the 59 and the emotional is the 55. So for me, this is very much our sexual energy, our seed energy that's there. And that, I mean, I don't think as human beings, actually, this is what's coming to me, we have learned to contain that kind of energy and contain, like, that's all about the Taoism too. It's all about containing energy. So I'm wondering, if she would expand on that and kind of give us a little bit more around how to learn to hold that in our vessel with integrity.
Well, you can start asking questions to bring on transparency. So where am I dishonest with myself? And where am I dishonest with others? How does dishonesty, for instance, come into play? And she says there's not, in any of the things that she's saying, there's no right or wrong. The biggest thing is there's awareness. There's contemplation of the awareness. So to ask the question, for instance, where am I dishonest with myself? You know, that could be simply talking about, you know, like collapsing an opportunity. Well, I can't do that because of this. Is that true? Or is it possible for you to do that? But there's a reason why you're choosing not to expand. So dishonesty, she says, can be a very, you know, sneaky, slippery thing, you know? And she says that this is like, it's like digging for the root of a weed. You know, when you go to pull weeds, they say if you don't get the whole root, the weed's going to grow back. And sometimes these root, you know, imagine it like a carrot where there's a big part of the root and it's easy to pull that out because it's easy to see. But then there are all these like little veins that go out. And we pull that carrot up, but some of the root stays in there. Well, she's saying that it's like a weed. Dishonesty is like a weed. You think you pull it up, but if you haven't gotten if you haven't exposed all of the roots and the root causes, it's still there. And it takes time to really, truly be honest with yourself. And she says for some people, it's really super subtle. But for other people, it's right there. Like you really just, you know, it's the elephant in the room. So she says it doesn't matter if you're the person for whom the dishonesty is the elephant in the room or the, you know, the fly in the room or the, you know, the most minuscule being. You have to ferret it out and understand why, without making yourself wrong or bad. This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness and figuring out, okay, why is this? And it might lead you to your wounds and it might lead you to your shadows. And still, it's the awareness and the owning of, well, okay, I've been a little dishonest there. And what can I, you know, how can I choose something different? How can I, what's the contemplation here for choosing something different?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like those are new waters where we haven't swam before as human beings. So I feel like today the transmission is really complex in a way because we had another jinky just come in and kind of say, I'm here, I want to speak. And then they were speaking about sister trigrams. And I feel like what that leads me to is there is some geometry with the codon rings. So I think that there is like, I think that the sister trigrams are found in the codon rings. Maybe we can ask, but there is something here where it actually has to do with the DNA. It's how I feel.
Well, it's complex. There's layers. It absolutely has to do with the codon rings, and there are other geometries. So, in a sense, it feels like part of it is much more human design related, and part of it is Jinkies related. So, you know, there are a multitude of connections.
Monica was curious about the sister trigram, and I don't know if it's easy to tap in what that is for this specific one, or if we should like see when it comes through anyway.
Yeah, well, they just flashed me the 22, so it relates to the 22. And it might be the 36. How are the 22 and the 36 related?
I mean, I think if the 22 could be the harmonic gate, the 12th, but it could also be, I mean, I do think the 55 and the 22 are super connected. So that's maybe how the connection is made. But then from the 22, we would have the programming partner is the 47. So I don't know how that would how that would like play in.
What is the program partner of the 47?
The 22.
Okay. And then how is the 47 related to the 46?
It's not really related.
So it's probably, she's saying me, they're probably, is it 22, 47, and 36?
Yeah, but the 36 is like, it's not connected in that kind of way. It's the 30, yeah, it could be the 36. The 36 is also in the emotional center. So basically here we would have 55, 22, 36 in the emotional center. So maybe it has to do with the mutation that's going on right now in the emotional center. So that we have dishonor, turbulence, victimization, oppression would be the 47, but that's in the ajna. So we would have those. I mean, it sounds like all those have to do with, I mean, oppression, dishonor, turbulence, or crisis has to do with the liberation and freedom that we have in the two other ones that we were just looking at.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they also, when it came through, because that is one, then what they showed me is, imagine that we're not looking at a flat triangle. Imagine that we're looking at a pyramid. So that, there are 4 pyramids that are interlocked. So now we're looking at 12 gene keys in just one trigram that is connected. So it's infinite. I feel like we're just breaching the surface of what's going to come through for us with these this interconnectedness, and they're all laughing, like all 12.
Well, Ashley had an epiphany today. She just called me. I was like, I have to go live with Simone. She's like, no, I had this epiphany, and it's connected with the lines of the hand, and it's the planets on the fingers. And I was like, sounds like what you're doing too, with the holds and all that. I'm like, wow, new information.
Yeah, totally. So I hope, Sue, that answered, that helped to answer your question about leaky energy, so that, even though we got the example with dishonesty, apply that wisdom to any of the shadow frequencies that you're working with, any of those gene keys.
And I mean, I would listen to the 55 Richard New recording and know that that level of transparency and intimacy that the 59 is showing us is something that I don't think the human being has walked, at least not in the last thousands of years when we have been split in duality. Like before that, probably we were embodying it if we were in this form on this planet. But it's really something new. That's why Richard keep re-recording and editing that one. Yeah, so you're saying thank you.
You're welcome. And what they're showing me now is like the DNA, like the corrupt. When you do this work, you're really, like, in a sense, scrubbing the DNA that's corrupted, to make way for the birth of the DNA that is the higher frequency, which kind of relates to like that, the progression of the different houses, right? And the layers of consciousness that they were working within.
Yeah, and the sister trigram, if that was it, that has to do with the mutation of the emotional center and the dishonor, the oppression, the weakness, these things that we are seeing through, I guess. These shadows that are portals more than like something we want to repress or push down. So, yeah.
So I'm asking the 39 if it has anything else that it wants to share today.
It kind of provoked us in a way. Like, it's like, they say whenever 39 comes into a room, it doesn't even have to speak. It's still going to provoke. And here is like, it wasn't even you that spoke. You had the 59 speak. That's kind of provoking.
I love it. Well, because I was like, I'm confused. I don't think I'm talking to the 39 anymore. It's not the same energy. I'm like, oh, I'm talking to 59. It's hysterical. They just took over, They're just laughing. They're all just laughing. Like they're having so much fun with us. And I love that. I love the that it's they're like, as a collective, they're saying that this is how we have to help you move through your human thinking. We have to shake things up so that we can bring in this, these concepts that are beyond what you have, the construct that you're working within. It's like to break through into new territory, to provoke us to think in new ways, and not just like, oh, well, here's my 11. No, and Richard says that, right? That we all have all of them, and even if they're not in our holographic profile, but hologenetic profile. But what an amazing way to really experience the depth of our connection with even the ones that are not the keys that are not in our profile. I love that.
Yeah, thank you, Simone, for being open to bring in whatever wants to speak.
Well, thanks for being with us. So, Bella, do you have any other questions, or you feel like?
No, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this soul conversation with the 39. And if you'd like to continue work with us, you could work with Bella, Ashley, and I in a soul blueprint reading where we are doing a soul communication for you and looking at your gene key and human design charts all together. So you get 3 of us in one. If you'd like that soul blueprint reading, you can go to the Unlock Your Design website. And if you'd like one-on-one soul communication with me, you can find me at simonegears.com. All right. Thanks for being with us today. Y'all take care. Here's till the next time. Bye-bye.